This episode is sponsored by the ScareScotland Talent Agency. Hello and welcome back to Film Pro Productivity and Success, the podcast that helps creative people to live a more focused, effective and happy life. My name is Carter Ferguson and this is episode 157, Unleashing Your Exponential Potential, the Power of U Squared, Part 1. So this is definitely an unusual episode for me. I'm actually going to be reading you the majority of a book that I read recently, and the risk that it might get taken down at some point, but I'll be really pushing for you to purchase the book at the same time. And that book is called U Squared by Price Pritchett, the subtitle being a high velocity formula for multiplying your personal effectiveness in quantum leaps. And yeah, it's not like any other episode I've done. I've never just read a book before. I read this recently. I think it's quite powerful. And I would encourage you, if you can, to try and get a copy of it yourself. It's quite an expensive book to buy for what you get, but you can get secondhand copies of it, cheaper copies of it on eBay, which is where I ended up going. And it's really quite kind of life-changing. So without further ado, this is U Squared by Price Pritchett, PhD. This is about the power of U Squared, the quantum leap strategy for breakthrough performance. Making a quantum leap, going from U to U Squared, means accomplishing far more in less time with only a fraction of the effort you've been giving. In U Squared, Price Pritchett outlines unique, dynamic methods for leaping beyond ordinary performances and achieving dramatic results. Quit trying harder. Think beyond what common sense would allow. Make your move before you're ready. Look inside for opportunity. Follow the unconventional strategy of U Squared to penetrate imaginary barriers and pursue your true potential. A true story. I'm sitting in a quiet room at the Millcroft Inn, a peaceful little place hidden behind the pine trees about an hour out of Toronto. It's just past noon, late July, and I'm listening to the desperate sounds of a life or death struggle going on a few feet away. There's a small fly burning out the last of its short life's energies in a futile attempt to fly through the glass of a window pane. The whining wings tell the poignant story of the fly's strategy. Try harder. But it's not working. The frenzied effort offers no hope for survival. Ironically, the struggle is a part of the trap. It is impossible for the fly to try hard enough to succeed at breaking through the glass. Nevertheless, this little insect has staked its life on reaching its goal through raw effort and determination. This fly is doomed to die. It will die there on the windowsill. Across the room, 10 steps away, the door is open. 10 seconds of flying time and this small creature could reach the outside world that it seeks. With only a fraction of the effort now being wasted, it could be free of this self-imposed trap. The breakthrough possibility is there. It would be so easy. Why doesn't the fly try another approach, something dramatically different? How did it get so locked in the idea that this particular route and determined effort offers the most promise for success? What logic is there in continuing until death to seek a breakthrough with more of the same? No doubt this approach makes sense to the fly. Regrettably, it's an idea that will kill. Trying harder isn't necessarily the solution to achieving more. It may not offer any real promise for getting what you want out of life. Sometimes, in fact, it's a big part of the problem. If you stake your hopes for a breakthrough on trying harder than ever, you may kill your chances for success. The promise. Are you ready for this? Right now, in this moment, you are capable of exponential improvement in your performance. You can multiply your personal effectiveness, hit new highs, and shatter your old achievement records, the results you can have will be hard for you to imagine. You can become U squared. You don't have to settle for things as they are now. That can change dramatically. If you're ready, life is prepared to give you a breakthrough experience. You can jump to a higher orbit of achievement, live the dream, enjoy a completely different plane of success. Also, you don't have to be content with improving things incrementally or gradually. Just as your level of performance can improve drastically, so can your rate of accomplishment. Furthermore, the U squared formula requires far less effort than you've given in the past. You haven't been reaching your full potential. So far, you haven't even come close. No matter how you wish to measure success, regardless of how you define achievement, you have barely scratched the surface of what you personally can accomplish. But maybe the time has come to change all that. Maybe you're ready to make a quantum leap. You don't have to be content with improving things incrementally or gradually. Quantum leaps. Quantum leap is a term taken from the vocabulary of the new physics. Quantum physics, the science behind such technological breakthroughs as lasers, television, computers, space communication, and nuclear energy. Quantum physics is described as the most powerful science ever conceived by human beings. It requires a major rethinking of such concepts as time and space, and how the human consciousness operates. Quantum physics also has staggering implications regarding you, your potential, and the power of the mind. To put it simply, as human beings, we are going to have to reframe our ideas about the universe and how we fit into it. Fred Alan Wolfe, in his award-winning book titled Taking the Quantum Leap, describes the term as the explosive jump that a particle of matter undergoes in moving from one place to another. In a figurative sense, taking the quantum leap means taking a risk, going off into an uncharted territory with no guide to follow. Physicists studying quantum mechanics note that particles make these jumps without apparent effort and without covering all the bases between the starting and ending points. What's going on here? How does this happen? And is it possible for you as an individual to do something very similar in your personal performance? To put it simply, as human beings, we are going to have to reframe our ideas about the universe and how we fit into it. U squared. Most people operate with a mindset that assumes success comes one step at a time. The unspoken but popular notion is that we must move systematically from our present level of achievement to the next. Then the thinking goes, from that stage we can begin working towards graduating to still the next higher level in the sequence. Gradual progress. This is an unfortunate misconception, and it's clearly reflected in the way we function. They go about day by day striving to make incremental gains in their performance. That's pretty routine. That's the pathway of conventional growth. But your life simply does not always have to operate that way. Advancing at a measured pace, step by step from where you are to a little bit better, ordinarily feels easier, more natural, or even safer. But in certain areas of your life, you can just as easily think in terms of skipping levels. You can move from your present level of achievement to one that is several stages higher, directly. You make the quantum leap. You become U squared. Instead of accepting present circumstances or being content with gradual improvement, you can go for a breakthrough. U squared implies an explosive jump in your personal performance that puts you far beyond the next logical step. It's a formula for stunning advances in achievement and the realization of your dreams. The U squared concept is one of exponential gains rather than incremental progress. You might compare it to multiplying instead of adding. It means a geometric progression in your effectiveness. That's exciting as well as provocative, but it gets even better. Remember, quantum leaps can come without apparent effort. These are high-velocity moves that carry you to dramatically higher performance levels without a time-consuming struggle. Quantum leaps seem to violate common sense, utterly. The idea of moving to a higher orbit and skipping several rungs on the achievement ladder in the process strikes people as far-fetched, maybe even outrageous. After the fact, quantum leaps may be viewed as practical, sensible, even obvious moves, but they typically do not come to you as the obvious moves at the moment. Usually, it's in retrospect that you perceive their hidden logic and elegance. Invariably, quantum leaps are not complex or intricate maneuvers. They tend to be simple, energy efficient, and time-saving. U squared, the quantum leap strategy, can deliver those special dreams and ambitions that you instinctively feel should be yours. But the breakthrough demands a radical departure from some of your habits. U squared implies an explosive jump in your personal performance that puts you far beyond the next logical step. Change your personal rules for success. Leveraging up your personal effectiveness by an order of magnitude, going from U to U squared, is not a commonplace idea. You should not be surprised to hear that unconventional success calls for unconventional approaches. Quantum leaps require paradoxical behaviour, unusual moves, actions that on the surface often seem to contradict common sense. As human beings, though, we ordinarily go with the obvious. We fall into the habit of relying on behaviours that seem to have worked best for us over the years. When we take an approach that seems to be very serviceable and which enables us to perform well and succeed, we become attached to it. We don't readily relinquish that habit pattern. In fact, there's a tendency to follow our favourite approach more and more often, such that we get better and better at handling things in that particular way. This adroitness with a certain approach results in our overdependence on the strategies and tactics that it involves. We resist new manoeuvres because they make us feel clumsy, awkward, and more at risk. But if you want to accelerate your rate of achievement rapidly, you must search out and vigorously employ new behaviours, new attitudes. You must be willing to break out of your routines in order to make the quantum leap. The things that worked for you in the past very likely could, sooner or later, lose their serviceability. Even if your customary approach still holds promise for maintaining your present level of performance and growth curve, it may not help if you want to hit far higher achievement levels. And if you continue to rely on those old routines, maybe even leaning on them most when your performance flattens out or sags, you create a trap for yourself. There is a certain irony here. Your historically most dependable behaviours can become your major obstacles to future success. It's possible for them to cripple your progress. They may stand as personal boundary lines that limit what you can accomplish with your life. There is, however, another course of action. It is the way of the quantum leap, U squared. The following chapters explain the peculiar strategy that is involved. If you want to accelerate your rate of achievement rapidly, you must search out and vigorously employ new behaviours. And that is the end of part 1 of U Squared by Price Pritchett. I will be releasing part 2 on the same day as this one, and parts 3 and 4 will come out next week. If you're listening to this in the future, you can get it all in a oneer. But for now, let me just say thank you for listening. If you want to get a copy of this book, just jump onto Amazon or eBay and grab a copy of it. It is very, very worthwhile. I'll put links in the show notes to ensure that you can find it. For now, though, I'll end with a quote from Price Pritchett, who says, "Most people confuse wishing and wanting with pursuing. You must place your trust in action." Now, take control of your own destiny, Keep on shooting and join me next time on Film Pro Productivity and Success. Well, thank you very much again for listening to this episode. The music you can hear right now is Adventures by E. Himitsu, and the executive producer for the whole season is Janet L. Butler of Disruptive Film and Audio Productions Limited. You can follow my personal accounts on Twitter and Instagram at fight_director if you like, or follow the official accounts on Twitter at FilmProProdPod or on Facebook at FilmProProductivity. Please continue to support the show, folks. Leave us a review. Spread the word. Have a great week. Catch you next time.